When the clock strikes midnight, thousands of Washington state employees could be out of a job. I'll break down what this means for our local community.
Spokane Public Schools has over 5,000 employees that are vaccinated, but some are not. I'll be explaining what the school districts are doing to accommodate the people that aren't vaccinated.
Today is the deadline for all state workers within Washington to get vaccinated from COVID-19. What this could mean for WSU head football coach Nick Rolovich.
It's a warm, sunny start to the week with temperatures up near 70. But enjoy it while you can. We've got rain and cooler temps in the forecast.
Up with KREM begins now with Tim Pham, Channing Curtis, and Jeremy Legoo.
We have some breaking news this morning on Up with KREM. Former U.S. Secretary of State General Colin Powell has died. According to his family, he died from COVID-19 complications. Powell was the first ever black U.S. Secretary of State, and his leadership in several Republican administrations helped shape American foreign policy today. Colin Powell was 84 years old. Well, it's our big story of the day today here on Up with KREM. The deadline for Washington's vaccine mandate is today. Thanks for joining us on Up with KREM. I'm Channing Curtis. Now, thousands of state workers have until midnight to prove that they're fully vaccinated against COVID-19. So this morning we have team coverage. Nicole Hernandez is breaking down how Spokane Public Schools are accommodating their teachers. Jeremy Legoo is in the Outdoor Weather Center this morning getting a check of today's conditions before you start your morning commute. But first up, Tim Pham is joining us live with what's at stake if dozens of police and firefighters lose their jobs in the next 24 hours. Good morning, Tim.
Hey, good morning, Channing. Yeah, a lot at stake this morning. We are live at Spokane Falls Community College because this is where a new mass testing site will set up and begin. Later this morning, you can see that the drive-through lanes are ready to go for people to show up here for testing. Meanwhile, state workers, as you mentioned, are up against the clock as the deadline to show proof of vaccination is looming. That deadline at midnight today. Otherwise, thousands of workers could be out of a job statewide if they do not meet that requirement. More than 600,000 state employees fall under the governor's mandate. It can be a little bit confusing about who this mandate actually impacts. So here's a quick breakdown. Anyone working in state-run hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living, and adult family homes must be fully vaccinated. The governor's proclamation also covers child care providers, K-12 schools, and higher education. Firefighters, state EMTs, and paramedics are also covered by the mandate, along with all state workers. Agencies like the Department of Licensing, DSHS, and Washington State Patrol.
Getting the vaccine will be a condition of employment. This will be a condition of employment. And to continue operations and employment, you will be required to come into conformance with this safety requirement. This is a safety requirement of the state of Washington.
Governor Jay Inslee announced this mandate back in August, and this comes after a large increase in COVID-19 hospitalizations in the area. Now, the vaccine verification mandate stirring up a lot of controversy. There's been several protests against the mandate at the state capitol as well as across the state. And we wanted to look into this because we wanted to know, is this something that has happened before? States have been mandating vaccinations before the pandemic even began. The Pew Research Center recently released a report breaking down how vaccine mandates are nothing new in the U.S. Currently, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices recommends routine vaccination against 16 diseases from birth through the age of 18. Of the 16 immunizations, the CDC recommends for children and teens, 7 of them are mandated across all 50 states. So what are those vaccines? Those include vaccines for diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, whooping cough, polio, measles, and rubella, as well as chickenpox. Every state except Iowa also mandates immunizations against mumps. Vaccination mandates in the U.S. actually date all the way back to the 19th century. That's when many cities and states started requiring children to be immunized against smallpox. The Supreme Court upheld vaccine mandates in a landmark 1905 decision. Meanwhile, back here locally, the city of Spokane is prepared to lose 38 firefighters. Now, what we're told right now is that when you compare this to Spokane Valley says they plan to lose 0 Spokane Valley firefighters. So why is this? The city of Spokane told us that the volume of exemption requests that they received is the big difference. City officials tell us there are too many accommodations that they'd have to make to work with unvaccinated firefighters.
So as we've looked at the totality of the situation, we've looked at considerations for safety of the public, safety of individuals in the stations and that our firefighters are working with closely, as we've looked at cost, as we've looked at availability and volume of testing, and all those different factors combined with the data that showed 25,000 hours lost already to the pandemic, just on quarantine alone, and another 2,300 hours or so lost to actual on-the-job contraction of COVID. All those things taken in totality made it that it was not the right decision to be able to accommodate on the job.
So for Spokane's 38 exempt firefighters, their last shift was last night into this morning. Also today, the Washington State Department of Corrections also feeling the impact of this vaccination mandate by the governor. They're telling us they're also expected to lose some of their workforce across the state. So according to DOC officials, they tell us as of last week, 91% of their employees turned in their vaccination cards. They're expecting more to be turned in before today's deadline. About 3% of DOC employees are being accommodated or are on some type of proactive leave. On Friday, the DOC secretary estimated about 500 employees may be leaving. 2 Washington locations they're keeping a close eye on when it comes to the potential impacts is Clallam Bay and the Washington State Penitentiary. Now, as we mentioned, all employees in K-12 schools in the state of Washington must be vaccinated. So we wanted to take a deeper look into this. So Nicole Hernandez joining us now with a deeper look at how many remaining teachers are left in Spokane Public Schools. Good morning, Nicole.
Yeah, good morning. So right now I'm live at Brown Elementary School, which is part of the Spokane Public School District. Spokane Public Schools has over 5,000 employees right now, most of which are vaccinated, but of course some are not. So take a look at these numbers here. This is what we're seeing as for the actual breakdown. So right now 90% of the staff is fully vaccinated. Only 4 employees district-wide decided to leave their jobs. 1.3% asked for medical exemptions, 8% asked for a religious exemption. For exempt employees, Spokane Public Schools will provide personal protective gear or PPE while they are at work. For Central Valley School District, over 1,700 employees are vaccinated. Almost 400 staff applied for exemptions. Central Valley School District is also planning on making accommodations for those unvaccinated. Live in Spokane, I'm Nicole Hernandez.
Nicole, thank you. Again, we are tracking this very closely. As we've been told is that there are a lot of unions that are still in negotiations with the state and the governor's office to try and determine if there's going to be some sort of grace period. But Governor Inslee standing firm last week telling us that he is keeping the mandate deadline today. So again, more on this coming up a little bit later here on our show, and we know this is a lot. So for the very latest on the mandates and testing in our state, you can text the word test to the number 509-448-2000. We will send you a link directly to your phone. In the meantime, again, we are here at Spokane Falls Community College to talk about mass testing back in Spokane County. The director of Discovery Health, the operator of the mass testing site, will be joining us live here on Up with KREM. Coming up in our next half hour, he'll be walking us through what you need to know to get through this drive-through line, as they are expecting hundreds of tests to be administered each day. Live in Spokane, I'm Tim Pham. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Tim. Now let's go ahead and get a look at the forecast. Our Jeremy Legoo is in the Outdoor Weather Center. And Jeremy, it's a no socks Monday.
It's a no socks kind of Monday. It's that kind of warm out. and we've got peak fall colors across much of the inland Northwest, so get outside and enjoy them. This is the time to go hike. Trust me on this one. Right now, we sit at 42 degrees here in town. Ooh, a nice mild start to the day. It is still dark out though. It is dark, kind of dark. Our sunrise, not until after 7 a.m. these days, so expect this to be the case for the next about half hour before we start getting enough twilight that you'll be like, oh, all right, we're getting there. 37 in Coeur d'Alene, it is not raining there. 38 in Moses Lake, 52 in Wenatchee. It is clear. It's clear in Coeur d'Alene. It's clear here. It's clear across the inland Northwest. It is a beautiful start to the day, and we can actually expect more sunshine as we move through it, and more sunshine tomorrow as well. It is going to be gorgeous right through the middle part of the week. We'll see clouds build Wednesday, but notice that's not until Wednesday, right now on Wednesday, so a while away, a ways away. There we go, if I can talk. Temperatures on the rise. By this afternoon, we're in the upper 60s under sunny skies. Sunny today, sunny tomorrow, but as I mentioned, things start changing on Wednesday. I'll let you know what that means for you coming up in the full forecast.
As the WSU Cougars secured their third win in a row, the future is still up in the air for head football coach Nick Rolovich. What could happen if the highest paid state employee does not get vaccinated? And the Department of Veterans Affairs in Spokane has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the state. What could happen to other state agencies as the vaccine deadline arrives?